Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a minute since I've done a Cardfight Vanguard video, but truth be told, the game was getting kind of stale for me. But they have just announced new support for my favorite deck in the current format, which is Sealed Blaze Maiden Bavsagra. I love this deck. I love the playstyle. I love the whole gimmick behind the arms, the retire, the extra crit, the big numbers. She's already been a lot of fun, but now these new cards are pushing her offense over the edge, and I'm super hyped. So we're gonna talk about these these new cards real quick, and then I actually have some gameplay of me using them that I would love to share with you guys. So first off, we have our new arms: Sealed Blaze Hammer, Surya. I hope the guys said that right. First thing about both of these arms, this one and the axe, which is Sealed Blaze Axe to Vestar. Both of these are free. The spear, the sword, the shield, the gun, they all require you to pay a cost to arm them. The spear is a counterblast, the shield's a counterblast, the sword and gun are soul blasts, but these two are absolutely free to arm, which is really cool. First off is the hammer. When this card is armed, choose one of your opponent's back row rear guards and retire it. Choose one of your vanguards, and it gets 10,000 power until end of turn. It is a right DD arm, so it goes on the same side as the spear and the sword, and it just retires the back row, gives the Vanguard 10k. Basic, but Bavsagra already retires the front row and had no way to touch the back row. So if your opponent had a powerful rear guard in the back row, couldn't touch it without playing out of archetype support, like Travis from Eugene's deck. And there are definitely some back row rear guards that we want to get rid of, like Falcate for Dark States. That's a good one. And then there are some decks that can handle their front row getting retired, but once you start hitting their back row too, it's kind of tough for them to keep an offense. The Spice. They have both of the new arms have an effect like this, but this is what started to make me really look at these. So at the end of your turn, put this card into the drop. Choose a card with right DD arm ability and a different card name from this card from your drop and put it into your hand. So basically, at the end of turn, this destroys itself, and you can either add the spear or the sword from the drop to the hand. That is insane because first off, we've never had an arm do something like that. Second off, set you up to play another arm on your following turn, and since it's at the end of turn, you don't lose any power, during the middle of your turn. The big thing with Bavsagra is how much she needs her soul, and being able to arm every turn keeps the soul flowing. So the fact that this sets you up to arm again, fantastic. Now the axe is my favorite of the new support cards. It is Alright, so during the battle that your Vanguard attacked, when your opponent would call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. Basically, Bavsagra swing big. She usually swings mid to high 40s or 50s, depending on your persona rod, because of Trick Moon. Trick Moon gains plus 10k boost for every arm. Usually have 2 arms, 25k boost, plus 10k from one of the right DD arms, so you end up with a 48k row with a crit. But big numbers don't matter to a perfect guard. So a perfect guard usually shuts down Bavsagra, especially if your opponent can do it every turn. This fixes that by forcing your opponent to guard with another card. So that means every time they want a perfect guard Bavsagra, they have to dump 3 cards, and that adds up very fast. Now, is that effect worth giving up the shield? Because this is a left DD arm, so it goes on the same side as the shield. No, it is not. The 10k from the shield every turn saves games all the time. It makes up for the fact that you have to run so many grade 3s. That being said, its second effect is at the end of your turn, counterblast 1, put this unit into the drop, choose a card with the left deity arm ability and a different card name from this card from your drop and arm it to your Vanguard. Basically at the end of turn, you counterblast 1, kill this, and arm the shield. And as soon as I saw that happen in the anime, because I watched the episode first before these cards got released, my jaw dropped and I was like, I have to run it. It fixes weakness in Bavsagra's offense while also making sure you maintain your defense. It's fantastic. This card just got announced. Sealed Blaze Dragon Divstia. Sorry if I butchered that. When this unit is placed on rear guard, Soul Blast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose one card with the Overdress ability and up to 1 arms card each. From among them, reveal them, choose up to 1 card from among them, revealed cards, put it into your hand, discard the remaining revealed card, and shuffle the deck. It can potentially get you 2 cards out of deck. It sets up your drop because, well, when we explain the new grade 1, you'll understand. It gets you your Overdress unit. I know we have Overdress now. Again, we'll talk about that when we get to the grade 1. And then when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if your Vanguard has 2 or more arms, it gets plus 10,000 power till end of that battle, so it's a 20k beat stick. That's the biggest boost a Bavsagra rearguard has. Most of them are just plus 5ks, which are usually enough, but they're really trying to push our offense, and I'm so here for it because we needed it. Alright, and the last card, I don't like that this card costs a Soul Blast, as Bavsagra needs her soul so goddamn much, and we already have Shadi that Soul Blasts. So, you got to be careful with the soul. You definitely have to manage your resources, but adding too much counterblast to the deck when it already counterblasts a lot would have been bad too, especially since you want to make sure you can do the axe every turn. So I mean, I guess it's a trade-off. Very Lord. Yeah, Overdress is over Trick Moon. Whether you Overdress or not, this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So it's a 8k grade 1 rearguard, which we don't have a whole lot of boosters, that can't be chosen by card effects. So it can't be sent back to the deck by Gate Chronicle. It can be retired by cards like Meteor Flare Dragon because it erases, continuous effects, but that's the only one. So, good card. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard by Overdress, Counterblast 1, choose up to a total of 2 arm cards from your hand or drop, arm 1 card from among them to your Vanguard, and put the rest into your soul. So, it recurs your arms, it lets you equip, which will then let you soul charge off Bavsagra, and it gives you an extra card in soul. So you could have no cards in soul, Overdress this card, it puts a card in soul, you arm a card, and then Bavsagra soul charges a card and calls a grade 1 to lower, so now you can use Bavsagra's skill. Yes, I am totally okay with that. Now, this is the part that people don't like. While it's an Overdress, it does have a dress boost. When this unit is in Overdress state, hold up. I am incorrect, guys, I'm sorry. The grade 2 doesn't search a card, it searches an arm, but it also searches a card with dress boost, not Overdress. So you can either search Verilord or you can get Trick Moon. Yeah, this card's good. I didn't know it was a Trick Moon searcher. Anyway, back to the grade 1. When this unit is in Overdress state, all your front row units get plus 5,000 power until end of turn. For each card your Vanguard is armed with. So in most cases, in just about every case, you're going to have 2 arms on your Vanguard. So when this thing boosts, it automatically gives 10k to the front row. It's not as big as Trick Moon, so that's a little bit of a downside, but it doesn't need to boost the Vanguard to get that power. So if you have this guy on the rear guards, you'll give 10k to the front row on boost. So yeah. How I feel about these 4 cards, the deck was very defensive and it kind of had to grind you out, but they gave a huge buff to its offense. I was saying as a Bavsagra player that the deck was good, very consistent, it could keep out, it could draw with the best of them, but it needed a way to kill your opponent, and between Verilord and the Axe, it absolutely can do that now. But let me know what you guys think of the new cards. But like I said, I have some gameplay I recorded of me using the new cards. As you can see from one of the ratios down here, I ran the grade 1 and 2 at 4. I ran 2 of the axe. I only ran 1 of the hammer, so that I didn't really get to see the hammer, but it is searchable by Shadi, so we will try that again in a later video. But enough from me, let's check out the gameplay. Alright, so you guys can see the chat on the side. For anything that might be confusing, I will stop and explain. We're actually going second. We lost the coin toss. We decided to keep just the spear just to make sure that we can double arm on our grade 3 turn. Spear is still the best arm, obviously. It'll let you draw a card and let you arm another card. But we did open up the axe, which is really cool because watch what we can do with the axe. So, we always run into that when you have to discard to rise. Like, oh, I don't want to discard any of these cards. But now we can do something pretty cool. This guy's playing the new dragon that basically binds your triggers, and your opponent can't get damage triggers, or at least they can't get the power from the damage triggers based on what you have bound, and it reduces your defense, which I didn't know about. And that's actually, spoiler alert, we lose this game, but it was just such a cool game. I definitely want to share it with you guys. So we discard the axe, we ride grade 1, we use Nemakar's skill, Soul Blast 1, we add our shield to hand. I couldn't find it. Shuffle it up. Now we decide to go kind of aggressive. Oh, sorry. We also drew off the starter skill. I got confused for a second. But we decided to go aggressive, call grade 1 swing. Swing Vanguard. He takes it. They get a draw trigger. That was another thing I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to switch to draw triggers. So this is not the way I would run this deck. We had to give up a lot of our defense, a lot of our draw power to basically try and show off the new cards. If I were to play it like this, I would definitely have switched to draw triggers, not kept with fronts. And yeah, I mean, Conch Shot is still the best grade 2 for the deck, and it's not even in the deck right now. So I definitely have to work on my ratios and figure out the deck from there. So that grade 1 he just played is cool. The new grade 3 requires that you put 2 back row rear guards into the soul. That guy counts as 2. So he basically sets up his field pretty good. Swings 18. We just take it because I'm not trying to guard with 20k. Oh no, another spear. Alright, so here's the cool thing we can do. So normally we discard the shield for ride. We ride Halibadra. Halibadra adds an arm back from the drop, so we get our shield back. But we want the shield to stay in the drop. We want the axe, because the axe will only get the shield from the drop. It doesn't get the shield from hand. So we're leaving the shield in the drop to get the axe. Slide one back. Call out the new guy. Soul Blast 1. Now we check top 7. Now we have no arms, but we have 2 units with dress boost, so we get to get one of the new grade 1s. Shuffle it up, and we're gonna add it to our hand. Now battle phase, we go swing away. Now remember that the grade 2 only gains its 10k boost when it's swinging at a grade 3, so, and when we have 2 arms. See, that should have been a draw trigger. That would have been nice to have another card. Alright, now our opponent's going to their grade 3 turn, and they go off. So they discard that grade 2. That grade 2 says when it's discarded for ride, you Soul Blast 1, draw a card. Now we've got Evil Eye Dragon Omnia Grezio. That's a name I'd never want to try and pronounce in my life. But no, this guy definitely knew what they were doing. They played some pretty cool moves. They actually do an insane move next turn that blew me away. So they did the on-ride effect, check top 5 for either Mask of Hydrogrim or another unit with that name. I believe they grabbed Mask of Hydrogrim. And then they use its other skill to Soul Blast to bind a trigger unit. So now I can't get power from my front triggers during their turn, and all my front triggers get -5 defense, which sucks because we're playing the 20k front triggers for a reason. Now they use Mask of Hydrogrim, check top 5. They get no targets, unfortunately, but they already have one, so now they use Mask of Hydrogrim's drop zone effect, where they get to ride a mask unit and then move Mask of Hydrogrim to the soul. And now they use this thing's skill. So now they get to bind another trigger unit, and now all my cards with the same trigger icon get -5 shield, and I can't gain power from those triggers. So I keep on checking the bind zone to see what trigger they bound. Oh, they chose not to do it because the only trigger they had was a draw trigger, and I haven't played any draw triggers. So I mean, I didn't mind. This isn't an automated system, so it's a little tough sometimes. So now they called the heal trigger, then called over the heal trigger. Now they're gonna bind the heal trigger. So now all of my heal triggers don't work, and neither do my front triggers. So this was an interesting little ad. Desired Devil Bustin. Basically, when one of your rear guards is moved to the soul by your Vanguard's ability, you can counterblast one and call one from hand. So it basically just gives him an extra attack like right away. So we're looking good with a 1-4 lead, but now he swings with this. We decided no guard since we're at grade 2. They get a draw trigger, so they get an extra card. And then they get a crit trigger, which puts us straight to 3 damage. And I was like, damn, already. And they get a restand. So now they counterblast one, move that to soul, restand with -1 drive, and now this grade 1 calls out another unit from hand. And because we're at grade 2, that's just enough to annoyingly hit us. So we end up taking that damage, even though I probably should have just guarded with the grade 1. We perfect guard the VG, discarding our second copy of the axe. They only get 1 drive check, so I got a little confused. And now they swing with 26. And this is our first feel of the sting of losing 5k. So I gave it 5k shield, thinking that, you know, the effect gives it 5k, but it's supposed to lose 5k from the Vanguard, which he ends up reminding me now, so I had to guard with another card. Oh shit, I think I cheat here. No, I didn't. Okay, we're good. Now I did end up having to discard the grade 1. Double checking the cards, so I was like, why'd I have to discard 5 more? And they said the Vanguard ability. I double checked the Vanguard ability, and we're good to go. A little confusing with new cards. Alright. Now we discard the ride. Though I feel like I probably should have got rid of one of the PGs, but it's okay. Oh, I discarded an extra card. That's hilarious. Which is funny because you're going to see why we lost. But yeah, we end up using the spirit so we can draw. And then Bavsagra to soul charge. Call grade 1 lower from the drop. We don't have much in the way of boosters in the drop, so we just call Varalord back out as a decent booster. And now because we use the spear, we can arm again. And again, the axe is free. So we call out another copy of the grade 2. We don't use the skill because we only have 2 cards in soul, but we definitely want the extra power because 20k can start to add up. Now we're dishing out all our powers. Bavsagra's skill, Soul Blast 2. Pop that front row. Get a crit. So now our opponent has to guard this attack. But again, they have to guard with an extra card. Bam. Unfortunately, we get no triggers. So we swing grade 2. They 15k block that. And then we swing with our last rear guard, and they decide to just take the damage. Now this is where I was a little butthurt, because like I said, we should have had another trigger to block. So I was like, damn. Oh, right. Axe's effect. Counterblast 1, arm the shield. Now, this is unfortunately the last turn of the game. Like I said, we do end up losing. This move right here was so cool to me. So he rode the other copy of his grade 3 to be able to search out another copy of the mass grade 3. Then he uses this thing's effect to bind a trigger unit by soul blasting the Mask of Hydrogram. As soon as he soul blasted the mask, I knew exactly what he was going for. Because now he can use the Mask of Hydrogrim to ride the mask unit that he just added to his hand and activate Persona Ride. And then be able to use this thing's effect to bind the fourth kind of trigger. So now every kind of trigger is bound. Yeah, I think the only kind of trigger that wasn't bound was an over trigger. Which, if they had bound an over trigger, the fact that you can just say no over trigger doesn't save you anymore. Now, while that move was cool, I still could have survived until he did one thing. And it actually, like, super surprised me when he did it. Just watch what he does. So he used that grade 2. That grade 2 says you bind a trigger from soul, getting 10,000 power, which is cool because that plays right into its effect. It's not even supposed to be for this unit, but that's a genius tech. So you swing 36. I guard with our stand trigger. Now our stand trigger gains 5,000 power, but then it loses 5,000 power because of the Vanguard skill. But then I use the shield to pump it up to another 10k. So that puts us up to 38. I used to have an unwritten rule when it came to restanding Vanguards, where if you know you're gonna have to take one of the Vanguard attacks, always go with the first one because that has the least chance of getting triggers. But yeah, so basically, he swing 23. I decide to take it. I know I can't get a damage trigger, which sucks, but I still decide to take it. And they get no triggers. So I'm like, word. Now they restand. And here's the move that caught me. So he moves that grade 2 back in. Again, it counts as 2. Now he's using the other grade 1. Sorry, it's grade 1 that he moved in. It counts as 2. Use that grade 1 to play this thing, which I've never heard of this thing before a day in my life. But when this unit is placed on rear guard, you can look at the top card of your deck and call it. So he gets an extra attack. If he hadn't got that extra attack, I would have been at least able to guard the last 2. But I couldn't guard all 3. So we decided to double intercept to block this one. And then unfortunately we have to take the Vanguard. Because we could only get up to 23. And he gets the trigger and we die. But you guys can see how strong the offense of Bavsagra now is with those new cards. We forced our opponent's hand so low that by the time they were actually able to call our board, they had 2 cards in it. If we had lived that turn, we absolutely had that game in the bag. I'm really a fan. I gotta find a good balance between the offense and the defense, the draw power and the kill power. And I can't wait to actually get these cards in my hands in real life. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of the new support, the gameplay, all that fun stuff. If you guys want to see more Bavsagra on the channel, let me know. Or if you guys know another Cardfight Vanguard deck that you want me to mess around with, the sky's the limit with Cardfight area. If you guys want to check me out on social media, those links will be down below. That's it from me. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.